Hola, mommy. Welcome to Built to Rise comeback season for Christian women. I am your host, Lissette Carter, and this podcast is for women who are ready to rise stronger, stand firm in their faith, and walk in their calling. Let's go. Hola, mommy. Welcome to Built to Rise. Listen, it's been a week, but like an amazing week. I'm sorry that I didn't come on sooner. But you know, mommy, I got stuff to do, bro. I'm in my lane, minding my own business. I'm kind of like in a nice flow where I'm keeping my head down. I'm working. I have my daughter. I'm just in a nice flow where I'm minding my own business. And it is beautiful. It's wonderful. I like it here. It's challenging yet fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I want to talk to you about soreness. Okay. If you're my age, I'm 41. If you're my age, it's like the soreness in your body increases, right? Like out of nowhere, you're sore for nothing, for no reason at all. I'm not speaking that into your body or my body. I'm just making an observation as our bodies get older. As we are growing, you know, what is it, our body? Like, you know, you can feel your body out. What are we doing right now, body? Why are we sore today, body? Why am I hearing my knees crack? You know, I saw the Freaky Friday, the second one. I loved it. Other than like the little demonic thing, possession that happened in it. Other than that, it was great. It was really, really funny. And the funniest part of the whole thing is when the young girls switch bodies with the old ladies and they're like they are traumatized because they're just like, oh my God, I'm old. And why is my skin so dry? And there's a part in it where Jamie Lee Curtis, who inside is a young girl, and she's trying to get up. Like she's on the ground and she's trying to get up and she's like, I can't get, like my mind is telling my body to move, but it's not moving. And she's like, why are my knees? Why do they sound like walnuts? They're like cracking. And I was like, yo, I understand. I get what you're saying. I don't receive it, but I understand what they're saying. And I find it was so funny, man. Like if you want to go see it, go see it. It's great. It's a great movie. It's funny. However, I identified with the movie on the young part and the getting older part. And I want to ask you, man, like I want to ask you because this is a question I had to ask myself. Would you rather be sore from being sedentary? Wait, sore from not doing anything, like wake up in the morning and you're like, oh man, I'm sore and you haven't worked out in a long time? Or would you rather be sore from having done Bulgarian split squats at the gym? And I obviously prefer the latter. I prefer to be sore from working out. Now, my background, I used to be an athlete. Growing up, I played, and this was years ago, I mean like 20 years ago, I used to play soccer for Puerto Rico for the women's team. And I also earned myself a full scholarship to the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez, and I played softball for their softball team. And so I was all throughout my life, ever since I was 6 years old, I played t-ball, I played soccer, softball, baseball. I remember the year before I moved to Puerto Rico when I was like 12 or 13, my dad in one semester, or not semester, but like in one season, I was playing for 3 teams and it was like kind of illegal. Like we weren't allowed to play in 3 teams for the town, but I did. And I was playing soccer. I was playing fall. I think it was a spring. I was playing spring soccer. I was playing softball and I was playing boys baseball. And so I was very, like, when I got to Puerto Rico, I was like VIP and everything. And not to make myself awesome, my dad trained me. He trained my brothers and I. And so he is the reason why I got the scholarship and I made it to the levels that I did was because he imparted that discipline into me. So I've always been very, very active. And also I was banging, bro. Like I had a body, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know at the time. You know how when you look you look back at pictures and you're like, man, I remember when I thought I was fat in that, in that picture. And you realize I was banging there. What was I thinking? Yeah. I've been there. I get it. I understand. And so, you know, throughout the life, as I moved, I was in Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico is very easy to stay active out there because it's warm all year round and you can easily train baseball and softball and soccer all year round. There's no like downtime. The summers we would take some downtime, but I was still pretty active. And so I had to learn when I moved back to the States, that that's obviously not the case, especially since I was living in New England. And I gained weight real fast when I came back to Boston when I went back to Boston because I was walking everywhere. I was in the city, but it wasn't the same kind of training. So I had to keep up with the running and I had to learn about food because the food in the States is not the same as the food on the island, bro. On the island, everything is fresh unless you're buying it imported and you're paying twice as much for it. You know, my family, they have farms out there. So we could grab banana from the tree. We could grab mangoes or we can grab, cocos, like whatever we needed. We were never without. And when I moved back to the States, it was like I saw myself taking on the Americanized traditions of, well, when it gets cold, we hibernate and we eat. That's what we do. And when I realized how much weight I had gained, I knew that I had to take a step back. So I just started to run again and I started to go to the gym again and work out. And I also incorporated fasting. That's where I learned how to fast. Not in like the right way at all, but like I learned how to fast. I started with like one meal. I started with one day. I started with 3 days and then it morphed into 7 and then 40 days, 21 days, 40 days, which will be a whole separate show because there's so many benefits spiritual to in the spiritual realm to fasting and that we're called to do as Christians, and also scientifically why it's amazing for your body. Well, fast forward, I had a daughter. I had a C-section and I don't know what happened in that surgery where it was like my body morphed and it was, I don't want to say it's difficult, but it's been a challenge to get this body off. And recently I've been changing that language completely. I'm like, no, you move mountain, you move fupa right now in Jesus' name, move. And I had, I found myself going through these cycles of when I would work out. You evaluate your body as you're getting older. Your workouts are going to be different. There are some workouts that you don't enjoy doing and others that you absolutely love doing. And so for me, I feel like I tried a little bit of everything when I was married. And when I had my daughter, I tried Zumba. I tried HIIT. I got a Peloton and I did the bike. Like I tried a little bit. I did Daniel fast. I did vegan, vegetarian. I did keto. Like I had my hand in all of it. I tried a little bit of everything and long enough where I would lose weight. But those things, because they're fad diets, they're very trends. I feel like they're trendy kind of things. Unless you have a personal conviction that's rooted deep in an understanding that you have done a ton of work on, it's very difficult to sustain any kind of diet like those or any of those. So I moved back to Puerto Rico after my reset and I went back to the fresh food, fresh fish. I would go, they had these farmers markets out there and they have these flea markets where the locals would come together and they would sell all of their vegetation, fish. And I got back on the healthy train. I loved the way my body, and I did some kind of movement every day. It wasn't just lifting. It wasn't doing things. I wanted to do things that I enjoyed because I had a clean slate. I said, okay, what do I enjoy? How do I enjoy working out? And what I noticed was when I did an evaluation of as an athlete how I worked out, I realized that I had this cycle, and most athletes have this cycle who have trained all their lives where they would train, hit the weights, something would happen in a game or whatever, and they would get injured, and then they would go into rehab, nurse the injury until they got better, then they would get strong again, train, boom, injury, then they would go back into rehab, and it was just this cycle of just injury. And when I look back on my fitness, that's exactly what would happen. And the reason why I had these ebbs and flows of working out is because I would get injured, and then my food was not according to my calorie intake was the same. And so my weight would fluctuate all the time because of that trend or that cycle that I was putting myself through. So I ended up reading this book, which was really good. It was from Tom Brady. He was a quarterback for the New England Patriots, and he has this program called TB12. And what he had described in that book was exactly what I had gone through. How athletes go through this cycle of workout, injury, workout, play, injury, workout, play, injury. And the reason why I was drawn to his book was because in football, I personally do not like football, but I do love sports. And in football, there's no longevity in there. I mean, you'll last like 4 to 8 years because you could get hurt. People are getting concussions. They're getting all kinds of hurt in football. It's a very, very difficult on your body, that sport. But Tom Brady lasted like 20 years playing with the NFL. And I wanted to know, like, how did this scrawny dude last this long? What is he doing right now? Clearly, it's not Giselle. She wasn't in his life the whole time. You know how people claim that she was a witch and she did brujeria on Tom Brady so he could win games. Yeah, whatever. But he was great before her. So I read his book. I wanted to know, what does this man know that has created so much longevity in a sport where he would very rarely get hurt? And what I learned was, as he got older, he realized that cycle of people getting hurt, and he realized that the weights that you would do, they're not great recoil on your joints. And so what him and his trainer started to incorporate were bands. Bands were great for resistance training. You can mix it in with your weights as you're lifting so that you can get hurt less. Because with weights, as you go up, let's say you're squatting, right? And you're squatting, you know, the bar alone is 40 pounds. So you put weight on the bar, and there you have, 20 and 20, that's 40. And then the bar is 40 alone, that's 80. And you're squatting on that. When you're going up and down, you're putting a lot of pressure on your joints and your bones. And although it's very good to lift and do resistance training, doing squats that way with barbells, for me, I'll do like deadlifts on barbells, but I already know if I do anything else on barbells, I've got to be careful because I have to start doing bands so that my muscles and like all of the infrastructure of my body, that the resistance training is healthier than using weights or barbells, for example. The weights that I do love to use are just normal free weights because I think those are great. I mean, they're still pretty heavy. You can still do squats with them, like put them on your shoulders. Or you could use the kettlebells as well. Those are I love all of that stuff. It's the barbell for me personally that is just like, I'll get injured on those. And I'm not speaking that's just the history of like what has happened in my body. So I say that all that to say that as I read that book and I realized there was a different way of resistance training, I was like 38 or 39. I think I was like 38 when I read that book. I started incorporating the bands and my body started to feel much better. I started to get injured less. And now I carry the bands with me all over. And they're like all kinds of bands that you can get. You can get the really long ones with the handles. You can get the booty bands. There's so many different ones that you could do for like leg workout that mimic machines. You can go on YouTube and get like the machine. What is the machine alternative? The band alternative for this specific machine, and it'll give it to you. And so some of my best workouts have been with bands, honestly, and with like free weights. And when I turned 38, 39, the moment I hit 40, it was like my body completely went out of whack. And maybe some of you ladies can identify with this, but it was like hormonally, and also I was going through trauma. I was going through a huge life change. I was sent to Puerto Rico to, with my daughter alone. I was a single mom. I had to adapt to a new life. I had to rebuild my whole life again. And then I had to from in a year in Puerto Rico, figure out what my life was going to be, and then move to Pittsburgh and, go where no one knew me and I didn't know anybody, and move to a new city. Had never been here before. And so, there was a lot of other, external things that were impacting the hormones. Right. And so on top of that, I moved here and I turned 40 like the next week. And on top of that, the food was different. Pittsburgh is like in the middle of nowhere. We're like close to Ohio. And so here, what I like to eat according to where I am. So I'm not going to eat a ton of fish here because there's no water around here. There's no sea. You know what I mean? It's kind of like I have this philosophy of when I go to a restaurant, which isn't often. I don't go to restaurants often, but when I do go to a restaurant, I'm very careful. I order according to what the restaurant specializes in. So if I'm going to a Mexican restaurant, I'm not going to order a burger. You know what I'm saying? If I go to a burger joint, I'm not going to order a taco. You just don't do that because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. That's not what the restaurant is there for, man. Like whatever the restaurant specializes in, get that. Okay? However, as I'm learning about the area that I'm in, I know that there's a lot of Amish here. So I already know I'm going to get eggs and I'm going to get good milk and I can make my own bread. It's pretty easy. If you get sourdough is a process to learn, which I've done before. But right now where I am in my life, I don't have time to sit there and babysit and feed the sourdough. I'll go and get active yeast and I can make bread in under an hour. Super easy. And so not a lot of us have that time, and I understand, but you can I had to really look for, okay, where am I getting my food? And they were even like farm stores that people who had claimed to be farm stores that claimed to be farm stores, like you were getting local produce. I would still go there and see bananas from like Colombia. And I'm like, espérate un momento, pero like, what are we doing right now? I thought we were in a farm store. And then I realized real quick that they were a front. Like people love to buy that crunchy stuff. They like the experience of being crunchy and, getting from a farm, but not all of the stuff is from local stuff. So I had to adapt again, trying to figure out what foods work best that's fresh. I had done a ton of research on food and preservatives and chemicals way before RFK was in office. I did this probably when I was born with my daughter, when I was pregnant with her. And I learned it because I had gotten gallstones because with my daughter, I only craved like fried fake Italian American food, which was like mozzarella sticks and chicken parm and all that. And I ended up getting gallstones when I was pregnant with her. And they were like, you cannot have oil or fried food anymore while you're pregnant. They couldn't remove them. I had to wait a year or two after she was born for them to be removed. And so after that, I had to learn I couldn't have normal oil. I had to have coconut oil or avocado oil. And then I started to learn the benefits of cooking rice with coconut oil. I had to learn, to read packaging. And I did tons of research, like throughout time. I would watch documentaries and read books just about why are there chemicals in our bread? Like what's that about? And really the whole thing and we'll get into scripture in a little bit, but this whole thing in America is designed to make you sick. Like the food pyramid, the structure of how we eat, the food that's in the schools, the food that's in the hospitals, they're all partnered with healthcare companies to make you sick. And so let's say, for example, Taco Bell, they have a think tank of people say, okay, how many tacos and which way can we make an enchilada fit inside of a taco? How can we sell that? Like they're out there trying to figure out 60 different ways of how to make a taco. And they're sitting down with healthcare companies to do this. Like, yeah, because their job is to make you sicker so that you can go to the hospital and make healthcare companies money. And so that's the whole design. They're all partnered with each other. So when you realize that really quick, even like the air that you breathe, the water that you drink, everything, everything has had a hand in it from somebody strategically to make you sicker. And I'm not saying like, oh, wow, I can't even drink water. But, you get a filter or learn that there's way more nutrients in blending watermelon, coconut water, lime juice with some mint. And there's way more benefits of drinking that for hydration. And it makes you more hydrated than water does. And there's, there are things you've got to know. So there's some great books out there to learn about nutrition. Like there's one that's called Good Energy. The Tom Brady book I think it's called TB12. That's great for like exercise. But honestly, this whole space is filled with people who know. I mean, you could get millions and millions of books on health, nutrition, but the base of it is, as a 40-year-old, for me personally, I had to redo everything. And I had to learn, okay, why are my hormones out of whack right now? Why am I missing a period? Why is my period late? Like, am I premenopausal? What? Why am I craving? Why can't I sleep? Why are my legs feel like I have restless leg syndrome? What is going on? And so some of the things that help me, that may help you, all the bodies are different, was that, again, back to the point of, I was getting sore. I was getting more sore when I was waking up. Do I want to be sore from doing nothing, or do I want to be sore from working out as a 40-year-old? Okay. I had to be stewarding my body with discipline, the science that I had to learn new things, and with scripture. Okay. So if you're sore, you're either stiff from inactivity or you're stretched from growth. And the difference between the two is the discipline that you have to obtain. Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you? Therefore, honor God with your bodies. Te voy a contar una historia. I'm going to tell you a story. This is crazy, bro. So I was going on a fast, and I probably mentioned this in another podcast, but every fast that I would do in the beginning of the year, and I would do 21 days, right? I would do 21 days of this fast. And every single fast, I would do no food. I would do just liquids. And then after every fast, I would binge. And all of the weight that I had lost, I would gain ×2, right? And so I went on one fast one year. It was in 2020. And mind you, when I was in my 20s, I stopped drinking when I was probably about 22 years old, when I moved back to the States. In Puerto Rico, I was a big weed head, and I drank a lot. I was involved in a lot of stuff. And so my mindset shifted completely when I moved back to the States after college. And I rededicated my life to the Lord, and I stopped drinking completely. Well, I kind of was shamed for not drinking when I got married. And so I would be given a hard time from different people about not drinking. And I think it just highlights what other people are doing, and maybe they feel like it's wrong, but they're doing it anyway. And so I fell into maybe I will have a screwdriver, or maybe I will have some wine or whatever. But it never really sat well with me. And everybody has a different take. The Lord will convict you of whatever, it's in Romans, of what you need to be doing. But I learned quickly that the wine that we had in the States is different from the wine in the Bible. I don't know why, for some reason, we think that we correlate things in the Bible to what's happening in the States, because it's a Jewish book. Like it's written by, it's Jews and Greeks. And so I didn't know. I was like, well, the argument is, well, Jesus had some wine, so I'm going to have some too. Yeah. But the wine that they refer to in the Bible, sometimes they would refer to wine as like a cluster of grapes, or, and this is why you have to study the Bible and not just read it. Or there was a study that came out of a guy who did a ton of research on the wine from the Bible. And he was saying that one glass of American wine is equivalent to like 4 martinis back then, in the Jew days, in the Old and New Testament days. And so they're not the same at all. It's not the same thing. And I remember struggling with that. Like when I went back to alcohol, well, I didn't drink it too much, but I remember it would like make me bloated. And obviously like the restaurant bills would go up because that's where the money is at. You go out to eat and you get a couple of drinks, and that's what you're paying for, really. And I had a hard time with that. And I remember in 2020 being like, Lord, I got to do something about this fast because I binge, and I'm going to need a plan. When I get out, I need a plan. And I had this vision. It was kind of like a cartoon of the Holy Spirit going into my body and being like, ew, I have to live in this. This is like soft and mushy and gross. Like this disgusting food in here and junk. I have to sit next to this junk food, and there's like occasional social alcohol in here. I have to live in this. And I felt so convicted. I was like, nope, I'm not going back to that. And from then on, I ate very clean. Obviously, every now and then I would eat whatever. And, I was pretty disciplined with my working out. And then when I turned 40, that's when my weight started to like just go nuts. Like I started gaining a ton of weight. I didn't understand why. My mood was all over the place. It was insane. I was like, am I being attacked spiritually? Like, what is going on? I don't get my body right now. So after I did a ton of research on like what is going on? Is this perimenopausal? What do I got to change? And I started seeing a lot of women, they changed these couple things. They had to eat like they love themselves. They had to understand that the nutrition wasn't punishment, right? And Christian women, it's a kind of worship through stewardship. Like you're stewarding your body properly. What you feed your body affects your hormones, your mood, your faith walk. Like if you're feeling sluggish because you're not eating properly or you're not working out, you can't sleep because you're not working out, it's going to impact your faith walk, because then you can't set the time aside for God. You're going to fall asleep when you're reading your word. Your metabolism scientifically after 40 slows down by 5% per decade. So that means if you ate the same at 30 and 40, you'd gain weight faster. So like your muscle loss starts around 40. This is some of the things that I had to learn. Adults lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade unless they eat enough protein and train regularly. So what I had to learn was, I need to increase my protein. And usually with protein, when people eat, like even with kids, if they eat their protein first, they're going to be satiated. Like they're going to be fuller than if they have fruit, even though fruit and vegetables, they have a lot of fiber. They're really good for you, obviously. However, protein, and I mean, I'm talking good protein, like from the local farm, protein, eggs, oatmeal, like protein will change the game completely, in your body. And so I had to change one of the things that I wasn't drinking, when I turned 40. So, which was great. I had already gotten rid of that habit. But what I learned also is that alcohol scientifically is a toxin. So it poisons your body slowly. Why would you intentionally, like for me, I was not going to intentionally poison my body. I wanted to live a long time. And so it actually slows down your metabolism by 73% for several hours after consumption and lowers testosterone, making it harder to build muscle or lose fat. So it's so crazy because I was seeing this thing online, and this influencer who's a gym rat was talking about alcohol, and I was like, girl, how are you doing? I don't get it. Like, how are you advocating that what you're thinking? Oh yeah, it was like on the Peloton app, because I row. I have a row machine in my room that I row on every morning. And this chick who was teaching the class was talking about, yeah, I can't wait to like sip margaritas. And I was like, what, bro? Like, I don't understand. To me, it's so like, I don't get it. I don't understand. But I guess it could be the same as like me eating. I was going to say chocolate, but chocolate's actually healthy. Like the one I get. I digress. So, whether you like to eat or drink, this is 1 Corinthians 10:34. Whatever you do it for the glory of God. I know that's a stretch, man. It's hard to do that, but I've obtained the mindset of, hey, let me do this to fuel my body. I'm solely eating to fuel my body. Once or twice a week, I'll eat something that I enjoy. I actually enjoy everything I eat. I've learned to enjoy it all. But like, let me get something, like, let me get some ice cream, or let me get, let me eat some of that chocolate. Like, I want to enjoy my life. And so, but I also want to fuel my body because we got a lot going on, bro. We don't have time to be tired. And honestly, when we do have those cues, and I'm going to tell you what I do when I feel them, it's not just pound more coffee or pound more Red Bull, which is terrible for your body, by the way. But there are things that you can do to not only make yourself more awake, but create longevity in your body. So, for example, we talked about resistance training, why it's important to do training when you're 40 years old. You've got to build muscle, and here's why. Your body was created to move, lift, and resist. That resistance builds strength. Just like the trials do for you spiritually. It's the same thing. So scientifically, resistance training increases bone density by up to 8% in the first year, preventing osteoporosis and fractures. That's a really big deal in the Hispanic community because I feel like everybody has, like, I could call anybody older than 50 years old in my family, and they'd be like, ay, me duele la osteoporosis, me duelen los dedos, me duelen las rodillas, like everything hurts. They're always complaining of that everything hurts because they're sore from doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not doing any resistance training. So it grows, it raises the growth hormone when you're doing resistance training and the testosterone levels that are vital for your metabolism and mood. Let me tell you. So this is what happened to me this summer. I trained like from last summer up until probably like for a whole year, from summer to summer. And then in June, I got hurt like up from a barbell. And I was like, I got to take it easy. And especially because I was going to be traveling and I was going to be riding a lot of planes. I said, nah, bro, I'm going to take it easy. I'll do some Pilates, some stretching. And so I took it easy. I healed, but I like healed too much where it took me a while to get back to working out. And so one of the things during that time was that I could not sleep. I couldn't sleep because the resistance training helps with sleeping. When you're over 40, it helps you sleep better. And so if you're training 2 to 3 times a week, just that 2 to 3 times a week, doing like resistance bands or doing your, what are those things called? Not the barbells, the little guys, the little weights, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, at like those weights right there. And you just do arms, you're doing military presses, you're doing curls, you're doing your squats, you're doing Bulgarians, which is nice for the top shelf. You're doing your lunges, you're doing basic things. You're doing deadlifts. Those are like the basic things that you need to be doing are deadlifts, squats, Bulgarians, hip thrusts, military presses, shoulder press, and curls. And you're golden. You don't really need to do much. You don't have to be all that creative, and do something that you like, that you enjoy. If you like dancing, go dance. You like tennis or pickleball, go do that. Like, do things that you enjoy. We're not here to hate our workout. I enjoy it when I work out. I like to lift. I think it's great. I hate to run. I was running my whole life in soccer. I'm done. I did a half marathon. I was like, yeah, we're done here, bro. I don't ever want to run another day in my life. But I know I need cardio. And so I have a row machine, because when I would run a lot, eventually I would get injured. I was doing that cycle with running. I would get injured. I would get heel spurs. And so I was like, all right, what's the best way for me to do cardio that does my whole body? And it's rowing, I found. And so I got a little row machine off of Amazon, and I have it it's really cute. It's in my room. I wake up in the morning and I go rowing in the morning 3 or 4 times a week. So listen to this. Adults over 40 who strength train at least 2 to 3 times a week have 30 to 40% lower mortality risk than sedentary peers. What? Lower mortality risk, bro. Studies show it also improves insulin sensitivity, helping with type 2 diabetes. Now listen, consider it pure joy. This is James 1:2-3. When you face trials, because you know that as a testing of your faith produces perseverance. I have come to enjoy the discipline, and I know that's just not a popular thing to enjoy. But when I decided to get back into working out again, I said, I'm going to do a challenge for myself where I'm going to row. I'm going to work out almost every day. I'm going to row 3 or 4 times a week. I'm going to wake up in the morning and just row. And if I do it right when I wake up, it's like mindless. Like my brain is still waking up, won't even know what it's doing. And then I go and I spend time with God after that for about 45 minutes to an hour. And so I actually look forward to it. I like the classes that I'm taking. You can get little apps or go on YouTube and take row classes or spin classes or whatever and do it in your own time. You don't have to feel rushed to go to a gym. If you like going to the gym, you can do that too. They have that stuff there. So, when it comes to lifting weights, it teaches delayed gratification and focus. And so it's kind of like the fruits of the spirit and action. Do you know what I mean? You start small. So even if it's like 20 minutes lifting and body weight training for about 3 days, and just start with no weights, like just do the motions, make sure your form is good. One way to determine whether your form is good is like when you're standing up, always roll your shoulders back and strengthen your core, like kind of like strengthen your midsection, and do it all the time. Like do it when you're walking around. It'll help you with your posture. And that's your gym stance. Like when you're about to lift something, you stand up straight and then you roll your shoulders back, and you kind of like, that's your form right there. Start small, 20 minutes of lifting every day. Super, super small for like 3 days a week. And you can literally transform your mood, your health. Your resistance training can also mirror it creates resilience in you as you're doing that. You're going to be sore, but it's a good sore. And then you can start learning about protein and creatine and all of the additions. Like start super clean in your eating. Keep it clean to like oatmeal and eggs and protein and like good steak. I used to get steak subscriptions from like Butcher Box or Good Chop. I think it's called Good Chop, where they'll send you every month, they'll send you a huge box of all kinds of steaks that you can pick. And it's fun to I think it's fun to learn how to make the steaks and to use kosher salt and keep the seasoning keeping the seasoning light with rosemary, butter, and salt. Like super easy, bro. And some of the things that I've learned when cooking, like you keep it super simple, use your air fryer as much as you can. So it kind of eliminates all of the cooking, but you'll find things that you can like swap out. So for example, if you like sour cream, you can swap that out with yogurt. Greek yogurt, like plain Greek yogurt, tastes just like sour cream, and that's protein. You can also add that Greek yogurt into with a banana. There's a protein I really like. It's called Blessed Protein. And it's kind of ironic that I don't know if it's a Christian thing, whatever, but it's like a plant-based protein. It's the one que no me hace daño. There's some proteins like will make you feel super bloated. That one for me is the best one. You can test them all out. Banana, a little bit of peanut butter, the dry ground peanut butter with that, a little bit of milk and protein, golden. I'm literally full all day long. So you have to really keep like pay attention to your body. So for me, I know that if I'm not really that hungry in the morning. Why am I going to force food down my throat? If you're hungry in the morning, eat. But pay attention to your body cues. If your body's like, hey, I'm hungry now, feed it. Give it some protein first and then everything else. Pay attention to when, you're starting to feel like, okay, I know I need to work out right now. Be faithful to yourself. Remember, I did a podcast about keeping your word. And so keep the word to yourself. It shows that you love yourself. And so keep the word to yourself. I'm going to work out 2-3 times a week. Doesn't have to be every day. Or I'm going to walk every day. Or I'm going to, start getting moving. Do something where I'm going to be moving every day. Make that promise to yourself. Start swapping out the stuff in your home, in your kitchen. If you have a lot of junk food, get rid of it. Did you know you could snack on fruit, like frozen fruit? My daughter, what I've done with her is we eat really healthy here. So people know when they come here, they're not getting junk. You're getting good food. So, if she's hungry, go have a banana or go have cucumber with some lime. We'll squeeze some lime on that. But we try and keep it healthy. Yeah, we eat out and we have our days where we enjoy other things. But for 80% of your diet should be clean eating. So if you have Tostitos in your house that has vegetable oil in it, if you have just like random juices in your house, high C, stuff with red 40, things that are not good for your body or your brain, get rid of it. Start drinking water. Start making your own juice. You know what I mean? There's so many different things that you can do. Whatever piques your interest, go study it and learn how to do it. And you can do it as a family. Hey, we're just going to swap out this one thing a week. Little, it could be something very little. We're going to swap this out and we're going to do that. Pay attention to when your body's tired. I know some of us have jobs and, we're out working. I'm working day and night. But when I start to feel it run down, I go and I take a nap. Like, I know not everybody can do that, but I don't go and I don't pound a Red Bull down my throat. I don't do that. First of all, those things are so bad for you. And on top of that, I have the liberty to be like, yo, I can go take a quick 20-minute nap. And you have to train yourself to do it because I feel like men can go to sleep like that, like nothing, bro. But with ladies, it's like our brain is still active. And sometimes I have to ask the Lord, please help me sleep for 20 minutes. And when I'm done with the 20 minutes, I'm brand new. And it's like I get another day. Like I can go after that for another day. I would rather have something that I can do that's like that than put something foreign in my body that's not supposed to be there to wake it up. I love coffee, espresso, but I don't want to drink 6 or 7 cups of it a day so I could stay awake. I would rather just go and take a nap real quick and then get going again. Are you guys following me? Is this helping anybody? I hope so, because these are things that help me my hormones were insane. Obviously, you have to keep check what you're focusing on, what's going in through your ears and your eyes. Speak life over your body, speak life over your day. One of the things too that helped me that was a huge game changer is that there was a list of things for 40-year-olds that they do, which is resistance training. They eat more protein and saunas. Okay. I was like, what? I get to go to the sauna for real? I hadn't gone to one. I had just moved to Pittsburgh and I was experiencing all these mood things. And I saw that sauna really does an infrared sauna, infrared light does really help your body. And so I started going. I got like a package for $200. I went for a bunch of times in the span of a month and a half. And I was literally completely different. It removes all of the toxins from your body, like you're sweating them out, and you feel brand new when you come out of there. I don't know what it is about it, but that has been part of my routine now. Every week or every other week, I get into the sauna, and you can go to the sauna at your gym, anywhere, but mine has infrared on it, and it's just me alone in there that I pay for. It's only like $30. I go in there and I do the sauna and I come out brand new. That is a huge game changer if you're a little older. And also people do cold plunges. I do one for my face. That's another thing I do to wake myself up. If I'm feeling run down and I need to like get going and I don't have time for a nap, I do it every single morning. And I do it like if I need to get a second wind and I don't have time for a nap, I just take a bowl of water, I put a bunch of ice in it, I wait a little bit, and then I just dunk my face in. It's great for your skin. It's great for your brain. And honestly, I'm not going to sit there and fill it all week. I take one bowl and I put ice in it and I wait for it and I use it for the next couple of days. I just put it right back in the fridge and then I take it out really early in the morning. I dunk my face and then I go work out. So there are things that you can do that are healthy to wake yourself up and that are really good for your body, that I have learned that work great for me. Have fun. That's another thing too. Laughter is so good for your body. So make sure you're doing things that have fun. You're maintaining your body in regards to like the appearance, that you're making sure that you look good, that, you know, you got your tan and you got your color and your makeup is nice and clean and your clothes fit. As you do this every day, you will build kind of a nice routine and you'll be healthier. I had actually watched this thing called I want to say centurions, but those are the people from the Bible. They're called I don't know the word. But it's basically this documentary that I watched about people who were over 100 years old in these different regions, these different parts of the world. And they were all researched. So these researchers went and visited the parts of the world that had the most centenarians, or whatever they're called, people that were living over 100 years old. And they asked them, how do you guys have longevity? Listen to this, bro. How do you guys have longevity? How have you lived for this long? And they said they all had similar aspects to why they lived so long. The first one was that they lived by family. And they were with their grandchildren, and it kept them younger. The second thing was that they were moving every day. So some of the ones in some parts of Italy, they were walking every day, because you're walking every day in Italy. In Asia, I think it was in Okinawa, over there, they all had little gardens. Actually, all of these communities, all of the people that were living over 100, they had their own gardens, and they would go and harvest their garden. They would pick from it every day. And so that was like a working out thing that they did. And also they were eating what they were producing. So they were eating clean. They were eating fresh. They also had an element of faith of God in their lives. And they would also, all of them would take naps. That is what brought them longevity. The moment I heard about that, I was watching it and I was like, what? Napping will make you live longer? Like everywhere. They had it in Mexico, Asia, Okinawa, Italy, and there was another one somewhere else. But they did all this research, and they all, midday, they would all take a nap. And that is what brought longevity. That's why they lived until they were 100 years old. So there are things in the Bible that will shorten your life, that are clear. Alcohol can be one of them. Dishonoring your parents. Like, there are things in the Bible that will tell you this will shorten your life, and this will bring you a long life. And so those are the things that you have to pay attention to. What is going to bring you a long life, not only in the Bible, which obviously is number one, but also what are people doing across the world that's extending their lifespan? What are they doing that is where they're retaining this muscle and they're 100 years old? How are they living like this? What are they detoxing? They also fast? There were some people recording that they were fasting as well. And so it's important to create this rhythm of 3 resistance sessions Make sure you are resting. You are taking the day of recovery, a day or two of active recovery, which is like walking, stretching, and that you do take some time to fast throughout the year as well. I have developed a nice little rhythm of fasting like I'll fast for 3 days every couple of months. And sometimes it's just water, and my body feels so much better. You're getting rid of the toxins that way. And you're also, whatever you're praying or believing for, it accelerates. And so I want you to know that you got to make a decision. Are you going to be sore from just like living, like not doing anything? Or are you going to be sore from being disciplined, sore from building yourself physically? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to sleep better? Do you want do you want to have a longer life? You have to implement these things, not all of them at the same time. Just take note of them and start activating them in your own life. Let me leave you with this. 1 Corinthians 9:27. I discipline my body and I keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. Whew. Being sore from nothing means you've been idle for too long. Let me repeat that. Being sore from nothing means you've been idle for too long. Being sore from working out means you're growing in the natural and in the spirit. Choose the soreness that strengthens. Lord God, Father, give me the strength to steward my body, the body that you've given me. Give me the strength to steward my body that you've given me. Give me the wisdom to steward my time that you have given me. Help me resist whatever poisons or toxins or whatever, anything that's out there, and help me pursue what builds me inside and out. This is your temple, Holy Spirit, and I will take care of the temple that the Lord has given me for you. In Jesus' name. Mommy, get on that. I want to hear about it. Send me a message, DM me. I do check my messages on social. You can find me at Lissette the Rookie. I want to hear about it. I want to hear about how you're growing. What are you doing? What are you changing that is going to make your life better? Mommy, you were built for this. Let's go.